So to refute Trey's argument, I think it's necessary to cite the fact that prostitution is occurring in these other countries. I know I reference other countries a lot, but it's because it's an example because it's already happening there. We have not experienced it here in any other state but one besides Rhode Island for that short period of time. So you have to reference places, real world places, where this has happened. With that being said, Trey referenced as well that following the legalization of prostitution in Netherlands, that officers were being trained to handle now human trafficking in a different way. The fact that they have to be trained to handle that in a different way as a result of legalizing prostitution negates the whole argument that making prostitution legal is safer. Either way, they're either battling prostitution or they're battling human trafficking, but it brought in a significant amount more of human trafficking for police to have to be taught different measures anyway. To follow up with what he was saying, what the client really buys in prostitution is the possibility to bypass consent, to do whatever he pleases in an asymmetrical relationship where the prostitute is completely at the mercy of the purchaser. Whether prostitution happens on the streets with a pimp or in a brothel, it's still going to be at the discretion of the purchaser what happens there. The amount of regulation that goes on in the setting where a prostitute is with the John is little to none. You can place supposed regulations on what is supposed to happen in that period of time, but when you close those doors, there's really no saying what actually happens in heaven. To conclude my negation, I'd like to cite Dr. Janice Raymond one last time. She states, there's no evidence that legalization of prostitution makes things better for the women in prostitution. It certainly makes things better for governments who legalize prostitution, and of course for the sex industry, both of which enjoy increased revenues. The popular fiction that all will be well in the world of prostitution once the sex industry is legalized or decriminalized is repudiated by evidence that the degradation and exploitation of women, as well as the harm, abuse, and violence to women still remains in state-sponsored prostitution. State-sponsored prostitution sanitizes the reality of prostitution. Suddenly, dirty money will become clean and illegal acts become legal. Legalizing prostitution will not decrease human trafficking. It will not make the industry any less harmful nor unhealthy for the women participating in it. Legalizing prostitution will not put more control over the industry or in the hands of the people. Legalizing prostitution is not for the benefit of the society that it will be affecting, and there's no point to pass legislation that does not and will not benefit those that it affects directly.